Dazod 500 presents Canadian Elections of History. The 30th election in Canadian history happened on the 8th of July, 1974, where the incumbent Liberals stick with Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who has been the leader of this party since the 6th of April, 1968, and he's of course running from Mount Royal. The Progressive Conservatives didn't have time to have another nominating convention, so they of course had to stick with Robert Stanfield, who has been the leader since the 9th of September 1967, and he's running in Halifax. The New Democratic Party, or the NDP, also hasn't had another chance to make another nominating convention, so they had to stick with David Lewis, who's running from York South and has been the leader since the 24th of April, 1971. The Social Credit Party is going to stick with Royal Coet, who's been the leader since the 9th of October, 1971, who's running from Témiscamingue. If you watched my election of 1972, you'd know that Trudeau only won the election by 2 seats. So maybe they couldn't get anything done, but they were able to get stuff done with the support of the New Democratic Party, who in May 1974 backed out of this agreement and voted with the Progressive Conservative Party to bring down Trudeau's government in protest of a budget which was proposed by Trudeau's finance minister, John Turner. The opposition parties didn't feel that this bill went far enough to control the spiraling inflation. Speaking of, the issue of inflation would be key in this election campaign. Stanfield had promised a 90-day wage and a price freeze to break the momentum of inflation. Trudeau had ridiculed this policy as an intrusion of the rights of businesses and employees to set or negotiate their own prices and wages with this very catchy catchphrase, "Zap, you're frozen." And with really nothing else going on about this election, I think it's time that we talk about the results. With 71.0% turnout, which is 5.7% less than the last election, the winner of this election would get 141 seats thanks to 4,102,853 votes, which is 43.15% of the popular vote. And that would be Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who got 141 seats, which is greater than 133, which is needed for a majority in the House of Commons, thanks to 264 seats being there. Robert Stanfield got second, and thanks to this election, he would step down in just 2 years after losing 3 consecutive elections to Pierre Elliott Trudeau. This came as a shock to many people because most of the polls actually predicted Stanfield to have at least a minority government. And the fact that the margin of error for Stanfield was this big, again, Trudeau won 141 seats, Stanfield won 95, shocked the hell out of anyone, especially considering last time it was a gap of just 2 seats. Now the gap is a lot of seats, so this actually surprised a lot of people. David Lewis and the New Democratic Party, well, David Lewis had to step down. You want to know why? He lost half of the seats. They went from 31 seats to 16. That's not really good, and it was the worst performance that the NDP had ever had up to that point. And the Social Credit Party got 11 seats, which is not even enough to be required to be recognized as a party in the House of Commons and therefore qualify for research funds and parliamentary committee memberships, which is freaking funny because this party should have died a long time ago. And I'll see you guys for the election of 1979.